The meeting of the Atlantic County Board of Freeholders is called to order. In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act of the State of New Jersey, adequate notice of this meeting of the Atlantic County Board of Chosen Freeholders was provided in the following manner. Published in the press of Atlantic City and mailed to the Current, the Daily Journal, the Hamilton Gazette, and the Hamilton News, and has been posted on the bulletin boards in the county office building in Atlantic City, the Stillwater building in Northfield, and the county clerk's office in Mays Landing. Please rise for an opening prayer and our flag.
Mighty God, we ask Thee to grant us the wisdom to walk in Thy light, and courage to accept the responsibilities placed upon us. Guide us by the truth, uphold us by the power, and grant that Thy presence may ever be with us. Amen.
Amen.
Attention, salute.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Bennett. Present. Martino.
Here.
Horsey.
Here.
Days.
Here.
Fitzpatrick.
Here.
Formica.
Here.
Kern.
Here.
Risley. And Gatto.
Here. Okay, as our county executive takes his seat, you've had an opportunity to review the minutes from December 11th, 2018. If there's no corrections, I'll make a motion to adopt the minutes as presented.
Move.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any questions, comments? Roll call, please.
Bennett.
Yes.
Martino.
Yes.
Horsey.
Yes.
Days.
Yes.
Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
Formica.
Yes.
Kern.
Yes.
Risley.
Yes.
And Gatto.
Yes. All right, we have a couple of presentations to start with. Going to look to our county executive to see if you want to start out, or do we have our... We do. We have a young basketball star over there from ACIT. So can we
Absolutely.
honor her first? Okay, great.
Madam Chair, I move resolution 59.
Thank you. Motion and a second. Any discussion? Bill or Bennett, did you want to?
Yes, Madam Clerk, if we could read the resolution into the record, please.
Sure.
Resolution supporting and commending Atlantic County Institute of Technology senior Kayla Sykes and supporting the Kiss Cancer Goodbye basketball tournament. Whereas Kayla Sykes, affectionately known as Kay, is a senior at Atlantic County Institute of Technology majoring in the Computer Aid Drafting and Design program, and whereas Kayla Sykes has been a starting ACIT Red Hawks girl basketball varsity player since her freshman year, has been the co-captain for the past 2 years, and recently reached 1,000 career points, and whereas a co-founder of the Kiss Cancer Goodbye girls basketball tournament, Kayla Sykes has honored her aunt, Carol Small-Smith, by raising over $1,200 for the St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, and whereas Kayla Sykes has served her community in numerous ways, including her involvement with Gene Webster's Kitchen in Atlantic City by feeding the less fortunate during many holidays, which has developed Kayla's passion to help others. And whereas Kayla Sykes has volunteered as a camp counselor for the Mount Zion Baptist Church Win Sam Center summer program, and is an accomplished drummer who has gifted her talents to multiple churches and plays such as the off-Broadway production, The Color Purple at Atlantic Cape Community College. And whereas, recognized for her many accomplishments, Kayla Sykes has been honored by Black Girls Rock, Atlantic City Chapter, the Press of AC All-Star and Most Valuable Player of the Week, profiled in Glory Days magazine, Max Prep's Weekly Honor Roll, the United States Marine Corps National Athlete of the Week, and first and second team All-Cape Atlantic League. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Chosen Freeholders of the County of Atlantic that it hereby supports and commends ACIT senior Kayla Sykes for her notable teamwork and exemplary public service to her community. And be it further resolved that the Board of Chosen Freeholders of the County of Atlantic expresses its support for the Kiss Cancer Goodbye basketball tournament in aiding St. Jude Children's Research Hospital and the fight against childhood cancer.
Madam Chair, it's always great that we can honor a youth in our community who is so committed and so dedicated to scholarship and to community service. And so I take great pleasure in honoring her in this fashion, as well as her school principal and superintendent and all of her family members.
And you just hit your thousandth point, correct?
Yes,
Congratulations.
thank you.
We're just all so proud of you. So before we present you, we have to vote on you.
Yes.
So, really quick, roll call vote, please.
Bennett?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Corsi?
Yes.
Days?
Yes.
Fitzpatrick?
Yes.
Ramika?
1,000 times yes.
Kern?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
And Gatto.
Yes. Come on up and get your proclamation here, and congratulations again.
Thank resolution to you, this proclamation from Board of Trustees and Freeholders. We certainly respect and honor what you've been doing, and we want you to keep doing it. Okay?
Here, turn and face the
Yes. There we go.
Amy doing like a professional this way.
All right, congratulations. Now go win that basketball game. Thank you all for coming. You want to say a few words? Yeah, absolutely.
I would like to thank the freeholders, and I would like to thank my family, and along with my teacher being here, and superintendent and Miss Terry. And God bless.
We're proud of you. All right. Now, after following that tough act, we'll have a presentation by our county executive, Dennis Levinson, on our 2019 budget.
Thank you. More good news. It's a pleasure to be here, Freeholders. I'm pleased to report that Atlantic County government is in very good shape. 2018 was a year of significant accomplishments, and we are on our way to achieving our goal of a strong, diverse, and sustainable economy. We are ramping up our economic development efforts. We provided both financial and staff support for the Atlantic County Economic Alliance and helped to firmly establish its role as the lead agency for business attraction and retention in Atlantic County. The county played a leading role in establishing the ACEA. We now have a professionally staffed, private, non-profit economic development agency focused solely on regional economic development. We saw the successful opening of the Stockton campus in Atlantic City. This project, which offers an opportunity to help transform Atlantic City into a town that offers more than just casinos. This would not have happened when it did if the county did not step up. Even though Stockton is a state university, the state was in no position to bond. During the last administration, the state's bond rating was downgraded 11 times. Meanwhile, the county maintained its outstanding ratings and never missed a pension payment. Atlantic County was able to step up at no cost to the taxpayer. This bond will be paid by tuition, and we're pretty confident that Stockton is going to be successful. It's overwhelmingly successful in Atlantic City right now. That whole section of the city will be redeveloped. The real estate prices have gone up considerably, and this is just the beginning. Atlantic City will be a university town. In fact, it is a university town. We completed construction of the first building of the National Aviation Research and Technology Park. That's the NARTP. On schedule and on budget. We are concluding tenant negotiations and expect to have the building fully rented by mid-year. We are now beginning to develop plans for a second building. The New Jersey Institute of Technology, one of New Jersey's foremost research universities, agreed to manage research operations at the park. The NARTP is now included in a newly created aviation innovation hub comprising a 1-mile area around the FAA Tech Center and Atlantic City International Airport, which has been designated as a smart airport testbed research facility. This has been just really a dream that we had. Howard, Kyle, and I met years and years ago with some elected officials that told us this will never happen. And we persisted. And not only did it happen, it's in fruition. We're looking at a second building. For those of you that go by the airport, Amelia Earhart Drive, as you're going down it, your first right, take that right and take a look at the building. We'll take you on tour if you want to go through it. The first building is up and running, and diversification to this county and hopefully the whole South Jersey is happening. You know, Cape May, Atlantic, we've always depended on tourism. Tourism, even in good times, is still only 3 or 4 months. Now we are diversifying our economy. It's not just talk, it's happening. Good, solid jobs are going to come into this county. This will be an aviation hub, not taking advantage of the FAA, the foremost test facility in the world, right around the block from us, to me is something that had to be tapped, and it finally occurred. And I assigned Howard Kyle. If you saw the article in the paper on Sunday and Howard was featured, the press did call me for comment. I felt like, you know, that's all I got to do is take credit for all of this. You know, it had to come to fruition and somebody had to do it. And he was assigned almost full time to make sure that this happened. Sent him down to Florida, he got it done. So I really want to tip my hat to Howard. Is Howard here?
He's hiding back.
That's in lieu of a raise. Atlantic County is now the center of the emerging aviation industry in our state. As an economic development efforts extend beyond Atlantic County, we develop new strategic partnerships with major aviation companies and institutions, such as Boeing, Lockheed, Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, Joint Base, McGuire, Fort Dix, Lakehurst, the National Institute of Aerospace, the FAA, General Dynamics, and Thunderbolt Software. Pretty impressive for this section of the state of New Jersey, which, by the way, the only way you get here is because you're aiming for it. It's not something you just pass through. The county was awarded the New Jersey Economic Development Authority Innovation Challenge Grant to develop an operational plan for the aviation training academy needed to develop aircraft maintenance and repair operations. Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University agreed to be our partner on this grant. We went down to Florida and we did speak to them, and they were incredibly impressed with what we were doing here. Now, the significance of Embry-Riddle, it's the foremost aeronautical university in the world. They agreed to partner with us on this grant, and it cannot be understated, having them as a partner. They understand the significance and the importance of what we're doing here in the county. As with NJIT, their partnership helps validate our economic development efforts. We also introduced a new workforce development initiative in partnership with Embry-Riddle to improve STEM education in Atlantic County high schools by implementing an aviation STEM program. STEM, by the way, is science, technology, engineering, and math. You'll see this a lot of times as STEAM with an A in there for the arts, which, by the way, we're also, we'll accept that. But right now, it is STEM, which we've been pushing. This is a key component of our economic strategy that calls for improving the skills of local workforce so that graduates are better able to pursue careers in technology-related fields and make our workforce more attractive to potential employers. When we had people look at this area, you know, and we wanted them to take a look, make Atlantic County your home. There was a lot of things that they looked at that were negative here. One, talked about the weather. There's nothing we could do about that. But they also talked about a workforce that they felt was not a skilled, educated workforce like they would need to draw from. So consequently, instead of moaning about it, we did something about it. Our goal is to work with our school districts to structure the curriculum so that they align with economic strategy and are reflective of new employment opportunities. We want the high schools in our area to understand, to get these kids into a curriculum that will help them when they get out of school. They can hit the ground running. This is a heavy lift. We have talked to the superintendents, the county superintendent. They're pretty excited about doing this. But whether it gets done or not is another thing. So those of you in your hometowns, make sure that you let your school boards know that this is of great significance to this area. And it's not easy, especially, I was a teacher. You have sending districts. In other words, it's, say where I'm from, Linwood, Northfield, and Summers Point, send their 8th graders to mainland high school. Well, you would think when those 9th graders are sitting in the 9th grade class and they're all mixed in together, they would have had the same background. Wrong. They can't get the curriculums together in the 3 towns. Now, how come? Well, that's what you better ask your school boards. After all 3 towns, you're paying for a curriculum coordinator in each one of those schools. This is what we want to get done. One of the smartest men in the world, our Buckminster Fuller, he designed the geodesic dome. And he made it clear that what we have to do is teach kids to need, make it meaningful. I don't know about you, but the only time I ever used algebra in my life was to just get out of 8th grade. You know, you had to take a final exam. And unless we teach to need, I mean, the things that we didn't do in school when I was younger, the 2 classes that I got the most out of was home ec and shop, the 2 things you don't have anymore. So I don't know where we're going right now, but I do know that the direction I'd like to see it go in is to get this curriculum, to teach these kids and get them started and get them off to a decent career and a happy and healthy and prosperous lifetime. The development of offshore wind energy will offer our area new economic opportunities. Ørsted, headquartered in Denmark, has been designated the developer of offshore wind farm off the coast of Atlantic City. The county, through the ACEA, provided Ørsted assistance in finding a suitable location that can accommodate their assembly and maintenance operational needs. That'll be in Atlantic City, by the way. So we're pretty happy about having them there. They recently opened their administrative offices, and this initiative is expected to create approximately 1,000 jobs a year during its construction phase, and another 100 permanent jobs will be coming. So it is something that we're pretty happy that we landed here in our county. I'm also proud to report that a decade ago, the county stepped up to keep Boscov's department store open and saved hundreds of jobs. Boscov's has not missed a payment, and its Egg Harbor Township's location is Boscov's highest earning retail department store. We're in the final year of a 10-year agreement without any cost to the taxpayer. Now, for those of you that don't remember, 10 years ago, Boscov's was going under. Old Mr. Boscov, Al Boscov, came to my office, and he said, I'm coming out of retirement. I got plenty of money. Not enough to make everything float, but I need help from the county if you would do it. I don't want to let my employees go that have been loyal for dozens of years. I want to keep my different stores open. The headquarters there in Reading. And he said, could you be of some assistance to us? Well, number one, it was symbiotic. I didn't want to see another empty shopping center in our county. We have enough of them. So I said, what do you need from us? We need you to back the bonds and to help us out. Well, what are you going to give us? We'll give you first position if we go under. Well, that's pretty good. First position of what? When I liquidate everything from our stores, we'll pay you. And he said that I'll be at the helm. I'll make sure that this does not occur. I believed him. I took it to the Freeholder board. It was a heavy lift at the time. The Freeholder board was not unanimous. And if I remember correctly, it was a 7-2 vote not to do it. Why should we get involved? Why shouldn't we get involved? Here's 100 people, maybe 200 at a time, that need to work. It's a great store. We don't want to have that empty. If that's empty, other places will go down. So we're in the last year. Boscov's is still thriving, and it's a lot of people's favorite store. Their biggest money earner anywhere is here in Atlantic County. So we did a good deed, and at the same time it paid off for all of us. These are just a few of the highlights of our economic development efforts. In the year ahead, we plan to build upon the foundation we've established. We have a solid economic development product to sell, and interest is growing in what we have to offer. We were successful in our challenge of the Casino Property Tax Stabilization Act, more commonly known as the Casino Pilot. This misguided law was unfair to every non-casino property tax payer in Atlantic County. For some reason, the sponsors of this legislation inexplicably failed to guarantee the county a fixed percentage of the 10-year pilot. When we asked, why don't you put our percentage in, one of the sponsors said, because we wanted you to negotiate with Atlantic City. They wanted the county to negotiate with Atlantic City. The state couldn't negotiate with them. They took them over. But they wanted us to negotiate. We felt that we were being, is hosed the proper word? Bamboozled. There's a good one. Prior to our lawsuit, when we decided to file, the state eventually gave us a paltry 10.4%. Now, that 10.4% was nowhere close to what they promised. We even put a video up and on our website showing what was promised to us in a press conference. In fact, Michelle Post is sitting right there. She stood up at the meeting and said, Governor, the percentage isn't in there. And he said, basically, it is in there. She said, no, it's not. He said, yes, it is. And she said, Governor, I beg to differ. It's in the summary, but it's not in the legislation. It's in there. Well, it wasn't in there. And of course, we could prove it. We put the video up. It didn't seem to make a difference. You know, when government uses your money to fight one way or the other, it doesn't seem to matter for them to get their way, and it was just stubbornness. We had to go to court. And unfortunately, it cost us close to $300,000 to get what was coming to us, which is a substantial amount. You go to court in the state of New Jersey, you're going to pay. You're going to pay win or lose. First thing I say to the county council is, have a suit. How much is this going to cost us to win? And it's an unfortunate circumstance. And if we just lose, if the jury just gives the defendant $1, you have fee shifting in New Jersey, which means we'd be responsible for not only our legal fees, but their legal fees also. So we did go to court, we did win, we made a settlement, and $300,000 sounds a lot, but however, the cost to the taxpayer for not challenging the law would have been much greater. The difference between the 10.4 share, as originally offered, and 13.5 over the life of the pilot, was $30 million. So, in Atlantic City in the beginning, you know, it drank the Kool-Aid that was offered to, oh, you got to have the pilot, it's going to help you. You know, we're going to take care of everything. Well, it didn't. We were bamboozled just like everybody else was. You know, who was it that said verify? You know, trust but verify. I think it was Ronald Reagan. And one thing we did is we trusted and didn't verify. That won't happen again. Over the past 10 years, our region has faced significant economic challenges, but we were able to work through them successfully. As a result of the national decline in the housing market and the decline in the local casino industry, the tax base of Atlantic County had dropped $27 billion. Our tax base dropped $27 billion. The next highest value loss in the state was approximately $17 billion. That's the next highest to us. The impact of the declining tax base was exacerbated by the fact that we had also had to refund over $78 million because of successful tax appeals, mostly by casinos, due to overassessment. These overassessments occurred while the city was subject to strict financial state oversight. In other words, the state was in the financial office while this was occurring. So what they did, of course, because it created the problem, the state, and then they came in to solve it by hiring a law firm, which, by the way, cost us $7 million for them to declare victory and leave. By the way, when the state came in, Atlantic City might have been bumbling along, but they were only $100 million in debt. By the time the state left the financial office, Atlantic City was $550 million in debt. So, like Nixon did in Vietnam, he declared victory and left. That's what occurred to us, to us here in our county, and to Atlantic City. Every financial transaction was okayed by the state of New Jersey. Then they went in and told Atlantic City, you can't handle your own business, so we're going to take over Atlantic City because of the way things have been going. As bizarre as it seems, it got worse. These overassessments occurred while the city was subject to strict financial state oversight. No other county has even come close to what we had to refund. For 2018, the county's refunds of $8.3 million are approximately twice what the next highest county refunded. And when you stop and consider that for every $3 million, that's a cent on our tax rate here in the county. Prior to the downturn, when we were worth $58 billion, the county, before we dropped, that was about a nickel on the tax rate. Now we're down 3 cents for $3 million for every penny. In order for Atlantic County government to absorb all this, we had to be in strong financial position. Whenever possible, Atlantic County has implemented a policy of pay-as-you-go, so as not to burden the next generation with any debt we would incur. Our current surplus stands at $18 million, of which 50%, which is what we've been doing year after year, will be applied to the 2019 budget. The years ahead will offer more opportunity. This optimism is reflected in the 2019 budget I will introduce. Despite some state-generated uncertainties at this time, our financial outlook is very good. We have been working with the state monitor for Atlantic City to finalize a number of property tax appeal refunds, which we had been led to believe were settled. Now, I know this sounds a little vague. By statute, we had to introduce the budget here in Atlantic County on today's date, on January 15th, just as the governor had to in Trent. But we couldn't finalize because we couldn't get the final numbers from Atlantic City. So when Jerry Del Rosso and Bonnie Lindau called over and said, look, we need the numbers from Atlantic City. Where are you? Well, we haven't finalized them. Why haven't you? Well, then they kind of made reference to the fact that there may be another appeal there, which none of us knew about, which is kind of interesting. So we asked them for their best guess. Their best guess would have no real significance on our tax rate. So I'm saying this publicly and on tape, so once again they can, hopefully this will mean something. And we feel confident that they'll keep their word, but we did find out it's the same individuals that were there before are still there. We thought they left, but they're still there, the same firm. So whether they want to take it back this way that they gave us in the settlement, I'm not sure. So that's why it's an uncertainty, that's why we're vague about it, but all we can do is take people at their word once again. Remember, a municipality and a county exists at the pleasure of the state. That's the way it is, like it or not. Lawsuits that affect state employees here in our county, we pay for it. Even though we don't appoint them, we have nothing to do with it. It's just a fact of life. Welcome to New Jersey. Our current surplus, $18 million, of which 50% will be applied. The years ahead will offer more opportunity. The optimism is reflected in this budget I will introduce. Despite some state-generated uncertainties, as I said, and I want to go over that, we're hoping that that will remain constant. In 2019, there will be no tax increase. Based on the information we have from the state, it appears the county general purpose tax will go down 1 cent. Last year, we went down with 1.6. Jerry? Yeah, 1.6 last year. So it's been a pretty good ride, even with these expenses and the fact that our tax base has been decimated. In 2018, the county successfully negotiated 9 union contracts. The majority of these contracts settled at 2%. Our total salary and wage expense is up over $1 million, and that's a 1.5% increase. We lowered our health benefit costs by negotiating with unions to move into the state health benefit 2030 plan. By moving to this plan, employees pay less in their pro rata share and see more in their paychecks. While the state raised the health benefits premiums by 2% in 2019, the county has reduced that entire increase and reduced the overall expense by $148,000 as a result of the change. The 2019 budget includes some increases that are beyond our control. The first are the psychiatric payments made by the county on behalf of its residents. This increase is $620,000, so almost $621,000 for 2019, and is on top of the $599,000 in 2018. That seems to be increasing. So obviously, there must be a reason for that. I'm not sure what it is. We're going to have to ask the psychologist why this is occurring. We do know one thing, and on a personal basis, I have to believe it. If you are not a danger to yourself or other people, you should be free. And so the institutions that we had ordinarily house people has gone down considerably, even though these figures have gone up. Although the Joint Insurance Fund has been an effective cost management tool for the county by ensuring ongoing training, regular financial and programmatic case reviews, and sharing of legal services, our cost is determined by actuarial projection. This year's projection requires that the county increase this line item by over $500,000. Our total other expenses line is up $500,000, which includes state-administered, county-funded programs such as medical examiner, the Harbor Fields Detention Center. The lion's share of the balance is ongoing maintenance costs of our buildings and facilities, including additional new space for the police academy in Mays Landing campus of the Atlantic Cape Community College. The county has maintained a study debt service for many years. By keeping that item stable, we have been able to provide funding for major projects such as the criminal court complex, government complex in Mays Landing, vocational school addition, Atlantic Cape Community College's hospitality wing, public works equipment, facilities and planning engineering capital projects, along with Stockton and Atlantic City, and also the aviation park, to mention a few. The county's net debt, which by the way is what you want to look at, as a percentage is less than 0.45% of the total capacity that we have. We're still in pretty good shape even after financing the aviation park and also putting that money out for Stockton itself. It's all coming back. The counties too, in other words, it's easy for me to say, patting ourselves on the back, what this Freeholder board has done in the administration, but if we take independent agencies, the county's 2 bond credit ratings remained stable in 2018. In rating the county AA2, Moody's investors said, the county has retained a stable financial position despite dealing with the fallout from the financial issues of Atlantic City. Moody's credits the county with strong liquidity, modest debt and pension burden, and strong financial management practices and policies. Incidentally, one of the highest pensions unfunded in the country is in New Jersey. We here in Atlantic County have done what we were supposed to do. We've never missed a scheduled payment of our pensions here in our county. And many of the other counties can say the same thing. So what happened to it? Well, they blew it. That money that should have been earmarked and dedicated was used for other projects. Remember, one governor decided he wanted to give a bridge loan of about $700 million to Lehman Brothers when they were going under, and that money just flat out disappeared. So it's kind of sad when this started. And by the way, this started with the Whitman administration and went through every single governor. Take those pension funds that are rightfully ours. When we started working in the state of New Jersey, everybody knows in Jersey, a lot of times it's short money, but the benefits were great, and they were promised to us. And this is an obligation. I don't know how they're going to fulfill it. I honestly don't. They're so far in debt that I don't know how they get out of it. And you can't blame the counties for it. Standard & Poor's rated Atlantic County as AA stable. They noted our very strong liquidity, strong budgetary flexibility, strong budgetary performance, strong debt and contingent liability profile, very strong management, and a strong institutional framework. Such findings are validated by the fact that the county has had 19 perfect audits in a row by 5 different auditors. That's significant. There are municipalities, there's counties, there's even states that have used the same auditor year after year after year. What are they doing? They're checking themselves. What I instituted here, you got 3 years as an auditor, you're out the door. New auditor will come in and check your work. Like when we were in school, you know, when you check your own paper, how well you did? Such findings are validated by the fact that the county has 19 perfect audits in a row by 5 different auditors. In conclusion, let me emphasize that we are in good financial shape. This is due to the ongoing efforts of a great financial team and a very cooperative Freeholder board. That does not mean that we can sit back and relax, just the opposite. It means that we must continue to reduce costs and find efficiency. Most important, we must work hard to ensure that we build upon the opportunities that lay before us and that we work together to ensure our future prosperity. Seems pretty good on the surface, and we hope that it holds, and if it doesn't, it is beyond our control. You know, do something a little different. If anybody is wondering about anything, you know, the whole staff is here. Or do you want to ask a question? Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Feel free to do so.
As Freeholder board members, first, any of you have any questions? Comment?
Just a comment, I just, you know, in any level of government, good planning is, you can't substitute good planning. And I think for us in Atlantic County, we have a terrific team in place, and we had strong leadership too at the Freeholder board in support of what we're doing at the county level. And it shows. And I think it's something to tell the rest of the state. You can do good government. You can provide people with the services that they need, that they ask us to provide, and you can do it and reasonably survive while doing it. So I think it's a credit to everyone. It's a compliment. We don't compliment ourselves, and that's not our job. Our job is to do what we're doing here today, which is providing the services. I just want to make that comment. I think it's extremely important to let everybody know, yeah, we can do it.
I cannot overstate enough the opportunity we're having with our aeronautics industry right now. You know, we had people that come here are looking for tourism, they're looking for casinos, but there are other people that are looking for opportunity to invest money here and to find jobs. I think we have a well-laid plan. I'll give kudos to Howard Kyle. I mean, lives, eats, and breathes this for 5-7 years. Jerry and Denny and everybody else, but years ago, some people here are as old as me, we had NAFEC. The NAFEC was very interesting. It's the National Aeronautics Facilities Experimental Center. It was put on board, and the county, actually under the Improvement Authority, converted what was Pomona Field Naval Air Station into that facility. So our Improvement Authority is coming around now as the lead development agency. And there was a few reasons why they picked that, and it was proximity. And they invested, the FAA invested, top secret experiments there. And few people know that it was one of the 3 locations in the United States where the space shuttle could land, between Cape Canaveral, Travis Air Force Base, and Atlantic City. And a lot of good things happened. Well, it sort of went dormant when it became the FAA Tech Center, but now that we have a direct plug into it, we should really sing it out to every connection we have here, because that will be an industry that is the #1 industry export of the United States is aviation. And I just think that we should really be happy about that, even though it's sort of like dormant right now. It's coming out of its dormancy. So I want to give kudos to Howard and Danny and everybody else that has gotten this actually working. This is not a dream anymore.
Madam Chair,
Sure.
I wasn't going to say nothing since anybody was sitting here too.
I hardly believe that.
Oh, sure.
Go ahead, please, Freeholder.
Let me just say that to the county exec, and certainly I really don't give the county exec that much credit, not out of disrespect, but I do give kudos to his staff, as our former chairman has indicated.
because there's a lot of meat and potatoes behind the scenes that most folks do not get to see. Yeah, the county exec gets to say the final words on it, but time in, days in, weeks out, meetings with your treasurer and county administrator, they keep us very much informed what's going on, and we have questions. They try their best to get us the answers. May not be the ones we look for, but we get them. And I think that you have an outstanding staff. That's why you can sit back and chill for the most part, but they make you look good. And the fact of the matter is that you knew what you were doing when you picked that staff. So kudos to that. Let me just say this.
Bill Belichick.
What?
Bill Belichick.
Let me,
I know talent.
let me, oh, and you got quite a bit of it. Let me just say on a serious note, when we talk in terms of all the good stuff that's happened in and around Atlantic County, there's a lot of kudos can go to a lot of people, but I would agree. Howard Kyle has certainly raised the bar in Atlantic County. The county exec talks about riding by that building. Last Tuesday, I must have rode by that building 5 times. Back and forth, almost going back and forth to the airport with my son, but the point was, what a beautiful facility. If you have not seen it, I would agree. We did ask to get a tour. We're still waiting on that since the county exec said we're going to be doing tours now. We're ready to go. Let's make that happen. And finally, let me just say this. The county exec talks about the last administration, the last governor who promised y'all the percentage that was not in that legislation. I am so glad that this administration has made it very clear that we're moving New Jersey and Atlantic County forward. But I would be remiss, and I think my colleagues would agree, that we got to take kudos off to our former chairman, Famika, when you talk about the urban growth around that airport. Nobody has been on that phone beating up on Democrats. I don't know what pipeline he got in the swing, but to Frank's credit, Frank did an outstanding job. They made us all look good. And the county exec, again, your leadership with Frank and them making those phone calls, that was a game changer. Most folks don't know. That being around that airport was a game changer. And we can't take that lightly. And so with this one building going up, we've got to take our heads off and look for the next building to go up and start getting tenants in this building. So I just want to commend you for
Thank you very
the
much.
administration.
And it's amazing what a few cannolis can do with
It wasn't that drum whacking either.
We became very complacent, everybody, here in this county. When casino gaming came in, we thought this was the panacea. This is going to solve all of our problems. The Superior Court judges, when casino gaming came in, were making $55,000 a year. A dealer or a cocktail waitress at resorts or Caesars was making that money or more. Why stay in school? Get out of school, go right to work, and make plenty of money. And that's what happened from the beginning. And we sat back and we got lazy. We got fat and lazy. And when competition came in, all of a sudden things changed overnight. That great job you had in the casino, now you had to work 2 jobs. They cut your hours so you couldn't get medical benefits. Now you work 2 jobs, bring home the same amount that you brought before. I understand what happened. It was conditions. But things do change. We thought it would never happen, but it happened. The downturn in our economy nationally, I don't think Pennsylvania would have ever gotten casino gaming if it wasn't for the downturn. You know, I think it was Obama that made the comment that between Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, it's West Virginia, and it wouldn't have passed. But Rendell got it through because of the economic times, and that hurt us and hurt us terribly. The workforce that we had, the people that we have now on food stamps, half of our kids that are going to school right now are either on reduced or free lunches. It's tough. We have over 100,000 of our residences that are on some type of assistance. And by the way, let your constituents know, food stamps now, because of these geniuses in Washington, we're giving double this month. So their card's going to be filled. We certainly want to caution them not to use that all, because what happens the following month? So February and January is going to be filled. We don't know what's going to happen in March. all I can do, and I know I speak for this freeholder board, nobody's going to go hungry in this county. But I wish they would blink a little bit, somebody on both sides, and pox on both their houses.
I think Freeholder Ridley needs to comment.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I'd just like to really echo what's been said with the Aviation Research and Technology Park. It's a game changer for our county. And I'm hopeful that my two young sons will be able to find work here in Atlantic County and not have to leave the county. It's so important, and the work that Howard Kyle's done, and Frank and Denny and the administration in general has been tremendous. And I just attended last night a meeting of the South Jersey Economic Development District, where I've been on that board for about 8 years. I'm vice chair. And the district now is running very, very well. It's on a very even keel. We're able to pay our bills, and we're very financially solvent. The reason why I bring that up is because the South Jersey Economic Development District, that project was under their auspices, not the county, not Atlantic County. That was a Ford County project. And the Inspector General of the United States put a halt on us transferring that project to Atlantic County until we had satisfied 2 full pages of demands that had been met. And the district cleaned its act up over a number of years. I insisted on monthly meetings when I got on the board, and Frank appointed me in 2012. I insisted on monthly meetings and got some pushback, but we had monthly meetings. And only recently we've gone to quarterly meetings at the South Jersey Economic Development District, because now the district is back on board and in good financial shape. But what Atlantic County did to show that how important that project was to Atlantic County, the county fronted the money to the other 3 counties, which are paying us back at 3% for the next there's 7 more years left of payments that are coming back to the county to get this project going. And that's why it's so vitally important. This Aviation Technology Center, it's going to be a game changer, and I'm just so excited about our future here in Atlantic County with this going forward, and looking forward to the second building going up. Thank you.
Thank you, Freeholder. I saw on the floor Howard Kyle was itching to speak, so Howard, I'll go to you first.
If I may just quickly.
Go to quickly, you're ahead
I appreciate the kind words that were said about me, but perhaps they were too kind, they were perhaps too focused on me. I want to emphasize this, I mean this sincerely. If this project depended on just me, it would not have happened. It was a team effort, and a lot of people helped advance it, and I think they deserve equal credit, or more credit in many cases. County Administrator Jerry Del Rosso always was there when I asked him for anything. Bonnie Lindale, the treasurer. Tony Pagano in the law department, he helped out with everything. When we had 6 lawsuits that John Risley just mentioned, Freeholder Risley mentioned, had to be resolved, he stepped up and volunteered to do that. Linda Gilmore helped with a lot with the public information and attended meetings on my behalf when I couldn't make them. I also definitely want to stress the support we received from the county executive, because every day we have a conversation. I tell him what I'm doing, tell him what I need, tell him where I'm going, excuse me, and he tells me, go ahead and do it and get it done. So with that said, it was a cooperative effort and made this happen. We are on to something. Now, I just want to manage expectations. We're in a very good position. If you look where we were last year to where we were now, we're ahead. If you look to where we were a year ago to where we were a year before that, we're ahead. We're moving in a positive direction. We have more things to do. The biggest accomplishment that was made is that we at least laid the foundation to build on. 3 years ago, 5 years ago, why would you come to Atlantic County to do business? The state is one of the worst in state in terms of business climate. We also have one of the highest state taxes for businesses in the country. Atlantic County had a low-skilled workforce. We were suffering from high unemployment, high home foreclosures. We had to develop a product to sell. A lot of it was put together. We created the Atlantic County Economic Alliance, support from the county, Board of Freeholders in particular on that, Frank Formica in particular, who helped get that established. So we have, for the first time, and this is the game changer, an entity singularly focused on economic development countywide. That's been a major help, right? So all this is coming together. It's to allow us now to reach out to a business and say, come to Atlantic County, here's what we can offer you. We can offer you a position in an aviation industry, perhaps in a state-of-the-art aviation park, in a district within 1 mile of an airport that's now designated as a smart airport test facility. We can offer you some kind of incentive to be here to offset the cost of doing business in New Jersey. We can offer you proximity to the Joint Base and DOD work. We can offer you linkage down to what's happening in Cape May. We can provide support through the Atlantic County Economic Alliance. We have an incentive for business to come here. We have NJIT working with us. I can't stress the importance of that. And Embry-Riddle University. These companies have stepped up and said, hey, we think you have something to offer in Atlantic County. We think you know what you're doing, and we're willing to work with you. And for that, everyone who's participated in that deserves credit. There's more work to be done. We got a lot more to do, and we're set up to do it. So I look forward to that. Thank you. I'm sorry, Dean.
Just asking if there's anybody else. Okay, seeing none. Any final thoughts, County Executive?
I want to thank this board, executive is as lucky as I am to have a board as cooperative as you are. And I want to thank each one of you, one and all, for cooperating through the years, giving you Mr. Forrest. I appreciate it.
No problem. You kept me hour longer than I wanted to be here.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for your attention.
All right. Coming back to order. Next up, we have an interview regarding the appointment of Ann Davis to the Atlantic County Improvement Authority. Ms. Davis, will you step up to the podium? Certainly. And first, we need the motion on number 56 before we begin the interview. So, I'm going to make
Motion to move 56 to the top of the agenda.
second. Motion and second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? Okay. Ms. Davis, do you want us to tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm CPA. I work for Terry Mooney CPA in Muskegon. I've been a CPA for about 30 years, matron in accounting, at Grove City College in Western Pennsylvania. I have 2 children, 24 and 19. Or no, I'm sorry, 24 and 21. What would you like to know? My son's going to be a physical therapist. He's at Rutgers. My daughter is going to be a special education teacher. She's currently at East Carolina. Yes, Frank, can I help you?
Sure. So give us what your thoughts of the Atlantic County Improvement Authority are and what you think you would like to do there.
Well, I understand that they need someone with a financial background. I'm sure I'm going to be helping with budgeting and finances, and since I have a strong background in finances in the county, I think I can be of service there. And it's a great way to serve the community, and I think that it's a great way to protect my greatest asset, which is my home.
Good point.
Anything we do to improve the county and the financial position of our government and county and local is going to benefit us as well.
Thank you. Any other questions? Man, we're taking it easy on you tonight. Okay, well, with that, let's have a motion for the appointment.
So we need to read it.
Appointment of Ann M. Davis to the Atlantic County Improvement Authority for a term to expire on May 1, 2024.
Moved.
Second. Motion and a second. Any other discussions? With that, roll call vote, please.
Bennett?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Horsey?
Yes.
Days?
Yes.
Fitzpatrick?
Yes.
Vermica?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
And Gatto.
Yes. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard. Okay, start to move through the rest of our agenda here. Number 41.
Grant acceptance funding from the U.S. Department of Justice Bureau of Justice Assistance for the State Criminal Alien Assistance Program in the amount of $124,553.
Moved.
Second. Motion and second. Any freeholder comments? Any comments from the public? Roll call vote.
Bennett?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Corsi?
Yes.
Days?
Yes.
Fitzpatrick?
Yes.
Formica?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
And Gatto.
Yes, 42.
Interlocal agreement with Penns Grove Carneys Point Regional School District transferring ownership of Doran Precision Systems driver, simulation system, and simulators for use by Penns Grove High School students.
Move.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any freeholder comments? Any comments from the public? Roll call vote.
Bennett?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Corsi? Days?
Yes.
Fitzpatrick?
Yes.
Formica?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
And Gatto.
Yes, 43.
Emergency contract with Rich Fire Protection for the installation of a fire sprinkler system in the youth shelter, amount not to exceed $63,999.
Move.
Second. Motion and a second. Any freeholder comments? Any comments from the public? Roll call vote.
Bennett?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Corsi?
Yes.
Days?
Yes.
Fitzpatrick?
Yes.
Formica?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
And Gatto.
Yes, 44.
Emergency contract with J. Fletcher Creamer and Son, Inc. for the installation of a temporary concrete construction barrier system and temporary shoring of the retaining wall along Ocean Heights Avenue, County Route 559A, at the Board of Egg Harbor Township and Hamilton Township, amount not to exceed $149,909.
Move.
Second. Motion and a second. Any freeholder comments? Comments from the public? Roll call vote.
Bennett?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Corsi?
Yes.
Days?
Yes.
Fitzpatrick?
Yes.
Formica?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
And Gatto.
Yes, 45.
Alternate method contract with All American Healthcare Services, Inc. to provide nursing staff to Meadowview Nursing and Rehabilitation Center, amount not to exceed $47,758.75.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and then several seconds. Any other freeholder comments? Comments from the public? Roll call vote.
Bennett?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Corsi?
Yes.
Days?
Yes.
Fitzpatrick?
Yes.
Formica?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
And Gatto.
Yes, 46.
Alternate method contract with Photometry International Corporation to provide aerial and digital maps for Atlantic County in the amount of $175,665 for a 2-year period.
Motion and second. Any freeholder comments? Comments from the public? Roll call vote.
Bennett?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Corsi? Days?
Yes.
Fitzpatrick?
Yes.
Formica?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
And Gatto.
Yes, 47.
Designation of the Atlantic County Human Services Department Public Health Division Substance Abuse Services Unit as the administrator of the County of Atlantic 12-hour and 48-hour intoxicated driver resource center.
Move.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any freeholder comments? Comments from the public? Roll call vote.
Bennett?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Corsi?
Yes.
Days?
Yes.
Fitzpatrick?
Yes.
Formica?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
And Gatto.
Yes, 48.
Professional services contract with Deer Oaks Employee Assistance Program Services Limited Liability Corporation for the provision of an employee assistance program, amount not to exceed $25,296.
Move.
Second. Motion and a second. Any freeholder comments? Comments from the public? Roll call vote.
Bennett?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Corsi?
Yes.
Days?
Yes.
Fitzpatrick?
Yes.
Formica?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
And Gatto.
Yes, 49.
Competitive contract sub-grant agreement with various vendors for Older Americans Act Area Plan Services, amount not to exceed $191,566.
Move.
Motion,
Second.
second. Any freeholder comments? Any comments from the public? Roll call vote.
Bennett?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Corsi?
Yes.
Days?
Yes.
Fitzpatrick?
Yes.
Formica?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
And Gatto.
Yes, 50.
Competitive contract sub-grant agreements with various vendors for Older Americans Act Area Plan Services at 50% funding in the amount of $516,550.
Move.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any freeholder comments? Comments from the public? Roll call vote.
Bennett?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Corsi?
Yes.
Days?
Yes.
Fitzpatrick?
Yes.
Formica?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
And Gatto.
Yes, 51.
Competitive contracts with Jewish Family Services of Atlantic County and the Atlantic County Department of Human Services Office of Aging for the provision of Older Americans Act Area Plan Grant Program, amount not to exceed $71,859.
Second. Motion and second. Any freeholder comments? Comments from the public? Roll call vote.
Bennett?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Corsi?
Yes.
Days?
Yes.
Fitzpatrick?
Yes.
Formica?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
And Gatto.
Yes, 52.
Competitive contract with Barron Jewish Older Adult Services for the provision of senior center site manager services and furnishing kosher-style meals for the Herman Pogachevsky Senior Center site in Atlantic City, amount not to exceed $135,000.
Second.
Motion and second. Any freeholder comments?
I have a
Yes,
question.
freeholder.
Kosher style, either a meal is kosher or it's not.
It's kosher. It's kosher. They get it from Seashore Gardens.
Okay. So kosher meals.
Any other questions? Sure, yes, freeholder.
I happen to agree with Freeholder Fitzpatrick. Should say kosher meals.
Right, it should, right. They're kosher.
Because there was a deli called Fitzpatrick's Deli that
Right.
Miss Fitzpatrick was Jewish style.
Right, right.
That's exactly right. I got a lot of
I know.
nonsense with that.
Any other freeholder comments? Any comments from the public on that one? Roll call vote, please.
Bennett?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Corsi?
Yes.
Days?
Yes.
Fitzpatrick?
Yes.
Formica?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
Gatto.
Yes, 53.
Bid contract with Casana Construction, Inc. for roadway improvements of Jimmy Leach Road, Section 2A in the Township of Galloway, amount not to exceed $991,072.85.
Second.
Motion and second. Any freeholder comments?
Madam Chair.
Freeholder Daves.
Yeah, Jared, I know what section we're talking about here, but for the public's edification, can you explain what section 2A is?
Yes, it's from 6th to Pitney.
And the other section in front of the hospital, is it still being held up? It was the Pilots Commission?
Well, our engineer is here. He can explain where that permitting, what's going on with
Okay, I
that.
mean, I know it has to be separated from this,
That's
obviously,
correct, it is.
because of
It's
that
separate.
delay.
It's a separate, right.
Okay.
Mark is here, right? Why don't you go
Yes.
through?
Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, we're still working through the details with the Pinelands. We hope that project, this project will happen early spring. Count on around April 1st. We will have the pre-construction meetings and do all the submittals prior to that so that this job will start early spring. The other one is probably going to be summer. That's where we really want to do it when school's out.
Sure.
So that's what we're targeting, provided we get a quick turnaround from this last submission to the plan. So that's where we're at with that one.
And so, I mean, is it possible that delay is going to add to additional costs for staging and?
With regard to, that's our section 3 of Jimmy Leach Road. That's from the end of where the Garden State Parkway made improvements to just past Stockton's entrance. That project, do we anticipate that's going to add any cost? No, we do not. Their questions are with regard to drainage. Not that they're asking for changes to what we're doing, just us proving to them that what we're doing meets the regulations.
I just find it interesting. I know it's a different section, but I know when the state did the improvements at the parkway, the drainage situation was horrendous, and they had to come back several times. It's just ironic to me. But will there be additional costs because of staging? Because now it has to be done in two completely separate pieces and bids?
Well, I mean, we'll find out when we bid that section, what the costs are come back at. But we've given a great deal of thought to the types of detours that we're going to have to do and the staging of the construction. You got to think about that project. We're going to widen significantly Jimmy Leach Road through that area. The project phasing is going to require that we build where there are soft shoulders currently, so that we can actually move the traffic onto those and rebuild the other roadway. Although there'll be some significant detours that we've got to be really critical in the way that they're done and then notice is done, and we're going to be working with public safety to do that around the hospital when we're paving there, because of emergencies and those kind of things. Well, we can route those actually through from Stockton State College. So that's anticipated in that project.
So, I mean, ideally, the summer, that is the way to go.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Freeholder Corsi.
I think I got the legit something, but you said something about 6th Avenue?
This, what you're voting on now is the project from 6th Avenue to Pitney. What I was just
Another
describing,
section between.
that's section 2A.
The City Hall, post
right
office.
in front of the municipal building.
Okay.
So it's from where the new Dunkin' Donuts is, all the way to Pitney, which is where the Wawa is on the corner. Okay, now that section is also being widened, and it's going to have a center turn lane through that entire area. So right now, as you approach Pitney, there's a small center turn lane, and we have those cones that keep getting hit. This will actually have a center turn lane all the way through to where the turn lane is at 6th Avenue. And it's going to have full shoulders. So if you went through that section right now, you would see that all the utility poles have already been relocated, so that's not going to be a delay in this project. This award is being done, and we're getting the consultant on board. We'll hit this project April 1st. We'll be doing the widening. It's widening all the curves, sidewalk, not a lot of sidewalk because most of it was anticipated. The sidewalks are all back if you went through that area. With new curves, drainage work, and the widening of that full section.
Anybody goes through, they know how bad that road is, and I think we all would agree. But just a footnote, Madam Chair, and I'm not going to believe this point. Jerry, I don't give a rat's tail who wins the bid except who had that bid on Washington Avenue. That was the biggest disaster. What I'm talking about, we had a job in Pleasantville. This joker took the bid, worked for us 2 days, he go up on the parkway for 2-3 days. Come back, work here, the road was, how long, Jerry? A month and a half, 2 months maybe?
Try 4.
Oh, you get going, so.
Yeah, I mean, so whoever that, I mean.
That's right.
And what I'm making, the point I'm making is, I mean, you can't stop them from bidding on it, but you gotta go with the responsible bidder. However, and I asked Jerry this question, and I'm gonna support this, I just wanna bring this up, that we've gotta start holding their foot to the fire in terms of penalties. This joker has left us so many times, and businesses on Washington Avenue suffer from it. And we can't allow that to happen. Imagine that happening on Jim Lee's Road. This Freeholder board would be packed every single week if that were to happen over there. So we've got to be very mindful of the fact, and I'm holding the engineer as much accountable as I am the administration, and hoping and praying that that joker don't win the bid.
Well, he did. You're awarding it to another contractor. It's not that contractor.
Thank God.
All right, any other freeholder comments? If not, any comments from the public on this item? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Bennett?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Vorsi?
Yes.
Days?
Yes.
Fitzpatrick?
Yes.
Formica?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
And Gatto.
Yes. 54?
Bid contract with Arawak Paving Company, Inc. for roadway improvements to Delilah Road, Section 1B and part of 1C, amount not to exceed $1,448,129.60.
Move.
Second. Motion and second. Any freeholder comments on that one? Any comments from the public? Roll call vote.
Bennett?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Vorsi?
Yes.
Days?
Yes.
Fitzpatrick?
Yes.
Formica?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
And Gatto.
Yes. 55?
Letter of intent to the New Jersey Department of Labor and Workforce Development for the Growing Apprenticeships in Non-Traditional Sectors Program Grant. Move.
Second. Motion and a second. Any questions or comments on freeholders from the public? Roll call vote.
Bennett?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Corsi?
Yes.
Days?
Yes.
Fitzpatrick?
Yes.
Formica?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
And Gatto.
Yes. 57?
Authorizing consent for a roadway solicitation event by the Absecon Social and Athletic Club at the intersection of Mill Road, County Route 651, and New Jersey Avenue, County Route 601, in the city of Absecon on Saturday, January 26, 2019, and Sunday, January 27, 2019, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Motion. Second.
Motion and a second. Any freeholder comments? Comments from the public? Roll call vote.
Bennett?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Corsi?
Yes.
Days?
Yes.
Fitzpatrick?
Yes.
Formica?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
And Gatto.
Yes. 58?
Recognizing January as National Slavery and Human Trafficking Prevention Month, sponsor Maureen Kern.
Move.
Second.
Motion and a second. Freeholder Kern?
Yeah, I mentioned this a little bit last week, and I had a similar resolution last year as well for this month, because it's very, very important for us to keep staying aware of things like this that are going on in our society. In 2016, 403,000 people in this country were living in conditions of modern-day slavery. So I just, even today there was an incident in Florida where there were 2 young men that had been,
they were targeted. And they were targeted through an app. It was a game app on their phones. And individuals targeted them. They target vulnerable people, vulnerable youth. They look at people that, will come, so they target them, and they had them, at least one of them was over a year, but they did rescue these two, and there was, I think, at least six or eight people that were arrested within, that. So, again, it's just important for people to stay informed and support local organizations.
Okay, great. Any other comments? All right, any comments from the public on that one? Roll call vote.
Bennett?
Yes.
Martino?
Yes.
Corsi?
Yes.
Days?
Yes.
Fitzpatrick?
Yes.
Formica?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
And Gatto.
Yes. 60.
Resolution supporting the New Jersey Association of Counties to file a complaint with the New Jersey Council on local mandates that Public Law 2018, Chapter 72, constitutes an unfunded state mandate in violation of Article 8, Section 2, Paragraph 5 of the New Jersey Constitution. Sponsors, Freeholder Amy L. Gatto and Richard R. Days.
Moved.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Just from a comments perspective, we had discussion on this exact topic at our last meeting, and shortly after, NJAC sent an email out saying that they were going to be filing the complaint and looking for resolution of support on that. So that's why I bring it to the table here. I had us put in the $35,000 cost that we had to approve last week begrudgingly. So that was the reason for putting on for the dates. Did you want to add anything?
No, I did recall the discussion last week, and I know there was some discussion as to whether the additional expenses due to federal law or state law.
Right.
But the bottom line is that, and I thought I heard this before, and it was confirmed that the New Jersey Association of Counties was looking into a lawsuit for the state unfunded mandate. I commented on that, and the basically majority of this resolution, except for our specific share of what it actually cost us, is from the New Jersey Association of Counties.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to, I called back obviously I called John Donadio about this. John told me it was state legislation, so I went through my conversation with our local people. He had the state association president call me from the clerk's office, and she explained to me that what they were probably saying to you was that it wasn't federal legislation, but it was a federal election. I called them back, and the individual was back in the office. I think he was on vacation. And he did tell me, he said that he meant to say not federal legislation, but it was a federal election. And she even admitted, I mean, her name is Mary Melfi. Mary said to me that there are higher numbers during federal elections, so therefore, that's true. He would have much more money in a federal election. The only thing she did ask me though was what do I think in terms of our size do we compare with in South Jersey? And I told her Gloucester County. So we have roughly 85,000 registered voters. They're real close to us, and they put money into their budget. So we'll be having conversations, but yes. So it was a federal election. Higher numbers went out, but it was state legislation that caused the actual letter to go out.
Do you want to say something? Okay, so Freeholder Fitzpatrick.
Yes. Vote by mails are a trend that is growing. In 2013, there were 6,355 vote by mails in Atlantic County, and in 2017, 13,926. I think that providing access and an opportunity to vote is a function of government. And after 4 years, if somebody doesn't use their automatic vote by mail, after 4 years and a notice, it will go away. So it's not a forever thing. But I think that automatic vote by mail registration opportunity is a good thing. That's the only one I like.
I don't think, well, I personally don't disagree with, of course, supporting vote by mail efforts. I think that what that issue is that it was a state law that was put on us without really any notice and an expense that we then had to incur. And so that's what I think many of us, we see it all the time, unfunded state mandates. The state says, this is a great idea, and you go do it, you go pay for it. That's the part that I have a problem with.
Yeah, and I'm not going to disagree that that's making it easier. The issue that I have, and I think NJAC has, is that one of the New Jersey Council of Local Mandates exists to basically investigate these issues of unfunded state mandates in violation of state law. The fact that it was done almost at the last minute and pushed back to 2016, and it wasn't a budgeted item. It was, you told you have to do this, and it was done to 2016, but the numbers were obviously larger, the turnout was larger, and the request for mail-in ballots was larger. So my only issue is that the fact that the state said you have to do this, and you have to do it now, and you have to pay for it now. That's my main issue with this. Is, again, it's just the state coming in and, you know, that's fine if they want to do it, but then provide the funding to make that happen, or don't do it until the following year when everybody can kind of plan accordingly.
All right, any other freeholder comments on that one? Freeholder Bennett.
I just wanted to know, Madam Chair, if any other towns took the stance as well.
You know, I was at the South Jersey Freeholder Association meeting last night, and I mentioned to John Donadio that we had it on our agenda today. He didn't mention that any other counties had it on their agenda. I don't know if they do or don't. I'm not aware of it. Freeholder,
I'm going to support this because we have to send the state a message. I mean, I agree, mail-in ballot, easy access to vote should be available to every resident that needs it, but the state has thrown down our throats 2 or 3 unfunded mandates, bail reform being one of them, where we had no choice but to spend $700,000 to $900,000 and no choice on it. And another one that's coming down the pike is countywide assessment, which will possibly cost us $4 million a year. So at least joining with supporting NJAC on letting the state know that counties are just not going to sit here and take unfunded mandates. We just went through, a budget report that looked pretty good. We were able to squeeze our percentage down by 1%. But if you just took out what it's costing us to not have to enforce the provisions of, bail reform, it would have went down another 1/3%. So I just think it sends a good message.
with that, any comments from the public on that one? Okay, you all three went up at the same time, so I'm just gonna go front row first.
Sure. Thank you very much, Paul Rosenberg, Egg Harbor Township. I want to thank you for looking into it at my request, or probably others also, but I commented last week. I'm going to make the same objection I did last week, which is this should not be coming out, in my opinion, this should not be coming out of the county taxpayer base. This should have been coming out of the county clerk's budget. The county clerk has the ability to raise funds and raise revenue within its own offices. The county clerk's office is responsible for printing these ballots, and if there was an additional expense, it should have come out of his budget, not the general fund. That being said, I would hope that maybe an amendment could be added to this resolution, or perhaps another resolution next week, encouraging the New Jersey Association of Constitutional Officers to also join in this lawsuit, because if it did come out of their budget, the complaint should have come from them. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes.
Yes, Celeste Fernandez, Egg Harbor Township resident. My question is, what is the outcome? What we're looking for with this resolution? Just to have a clear understanding of what this resolution is getting on into.
I'll speak for myself. We had a large discussion about unfunded mandates at last week's meeting. And it was because we had to pay for $35,000 worth of extra printing and things like that because of the state legislation that surrounds this one. So NJAC says we're gonna take a stance, as Freeholder Framika was just saying, that you can't just send things down without us being able to budget for it and be able to pay for it. So we have to, these are the types of things we have to take out of, surplus and things like that, where it's not planned for in our budget. We would like to be able to plan for things so that we're using tax dollars as wisely as possible. So the outcome for me is just, again, to send that message that, listen, we're willing to participate with you. It doesn't have to be about this topic. It's on any topic, really, of unfunded state mandates. But let's work together and tell us what's coming. Let us plan for it. As Freeholder Dave said, you could have enacted the legislation and said this was going to start in 2019, so we would have had the opportunity to plan for the additional monies. That's a pure purpose for me.
Madam Chair, if I may. I yield to my senior member there first.
Freeholder for me.
I just wanted to get the true cost of this. 35,000 was the printing. There were 17,665 ballots mailed this time. There was postage. So if you got bulk postage at 40 cents, you're still looking at another $7,000. So the true cost to the taxpayer was $40,000. An unfunded mandate simply means the state makes a rule, forces it onto the county, and the county has to pay for it with no input. This is input to object to that.
Freeholder Corsi.
I was going to basically say that this conversation came up again last week, and we talked about these absentee ballots for an example, and I think the number was 5,100 that went out,
5,100, yeah.
and 400 came back. Unacceptable. We're spending that type of money for 5,100 ballots to go out, and as we indicated, folks either throw them in the mail, in the trash, didn't request them, folks didn't even know what it was. They go to the poll, they got to get a provisional ballot because it come in either somebody took it out of the mailbox or they threw it in the trash or whatever the case may be. But 5,100 to go out posted and only 400 come back. Taxpayers can't afford that. And we raised this issue last week. My other concern with that is that this resolution ought to be reading that when we talked to John and them yesterday, that we should be asking the other counties to join us in a resolution, since nobody mentioned it last night. Since they brought it up, you would have thought out of 8 counties at the meeting, someone else would have been saying, we're going to introduce a resolution to do the same, since we have already been out on it. Somewhere in that language, that resolution should encourage the other 7 counties to join us in this resolution.
Send a resolution out. The clerks are being copied, and all the other 20 counties.
It might be copied. We need to be urging them to join us and sending that request and mandate to the state. And I agree with Paul. Hell, we got to come out of the clerk's budget, but we got to be able to budget for it.
Right.
But we're not budgeting for it, and we talked about bail reform again. We know what that costs us. State's good is telling you to do something that they don't want to fund anything. So, and again, we're talking about today how great a shape Atlantic County's in, and how we're saving money and we're moving forward. But you keep putting these type of demands on us. That little party's gonna be over real quick.
Well said.
I thank you for the answer. Just to clear out, because I understand. So what if that resolution move forward and then people are not gonna receive those vote by mail in the mail? So how they gonna?
No. This has absolutely nothing to do with voting.
Okay.
The process of voting, access to voting. Absolutely nothing to do with that. This could be on any topic regarding a state legislation that requires a lower government to have to pay for something without any advance notice. That's the point of it.
Right.
We see it at the county level. When I sat in Hamilton Township, I can't even tell you the number of things that come downhill to the municipality, which has an even worse impact. And it's something that irks me to no end, the unfunded state mandates. It has absolutely nothing to do with access to voting. I think we all are in agreement. We want to make access to voting a priority. It has nothing to do with that.
Okay, just to be clear for all of us. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Thank you.
And I did see another hand. Trees, yes.
3 of your seats still empty.
Thanks, Ernest.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Going back to the original comment, I believe what was introduced today and what gets introduced every year is one budget with a set of line items. The line items, some of them are for revenue and some of them are for expenditure. But there's not a separate pot of money that the sheriff works from, or a separate pot of money that the clerk works from, or the surrogate works from. Whatever they take in is counted as county revenue, and whatever is put out is from the county budget. So there's not a way for any function of any of the constitutional officers to somehow say, well, we're going to somehow you pay for that, because in essence, it's all one county budget. Back in the days of the sheriff of Nottingham, I guess that may be a little different, but we've moved a little past that in the modern era, so I don't know. The other thing is, going back to some of the reply to the previous speaker, if this complaint, if ANJAC files it and they are successful, isn't the effect of a successful complaint to the council on local mandates to repeal the action that is taken?
You would think.
Okay, if that's the case, then turning around, with all due respect, turning around and saying that, oh, well, we're all in favor of more absentees going out, or we're more in favor of access, the law would be repealed. So those two things don't quite seem to go
Most
together.
likely amended.
Amended.
Most likely.
If I could.
Well, how would it be?
If I could.
Sorry.
Yes, Freeholder for me.
And when the state took over Atlantic City, its first year, its budget was short 90 million. The state couldn't get the money from the county, couldn't get the money from the city. State funded it. On your example of the constitutional officers having a fixed budget, they submit a budget to us, and we cannot veto that budget. We basically, if they show us their line items, we give them their budget. In the case of the clerk, in 2007, I think the clerk collected something like, correct me if I'm wrong, Jerry, just on realty transfers, something like $435,000. That went down significantly as houses didn't sell, but there is a discretionary amount of money that the clerk doesn't turn over to the county. They work it into their budget. The sheriff is finding money by cutting some costs. So they have the discretion to do that. This in no way is going to go away. This is not going to be repealed as a policy by this administration. We're just telling them, you better find the money before you tell us, our taxpayers, to pay for it. Not disagreeing with the concept.
Well, Freeholder, then we're talking about two different things here, because you're filing a complaint with the council on local mandates. The only action they can take is to say that mandate goes away, which means that law goes away.
No, if the funding goes away, not the law. You're not changing policy here. What you're doing is you're asking the state to repeal the way that they fund their policy. Nothing else. There's nothing in here that negates the law.
With all respect, we're either doing a lot of semantics, or because the council on local mandates does not have the authority to say to the state of New Jersey, add $1 million. The only thing they're able to do, which is what they did with the attempt to change for local municipalities on state police, took it away. So
There's still state police there?
There's still state police there.
Who's paying for it?
The state, because
Right.
council on local mandates
You've made my point.
said they can't change the law.
Yeah, but the funding didn't go to the municipalities. That's exactly what they
The
tried to
burden
do.
didn't go to the municipality.
But the cost of the service for the state police is not on the municipalities.
Right.
But they tried to make it.
Right. And
This is what we're doing here. We're saying, have the law, have the mailings, we don't want to go fund it. You made my point.
I'm still thinking you're saying that they're going to turn around and repeal it, and the thing is that this was already tried on bail reform, and that failed, because this council on local mandates, whether you agree or disagree with the decision, their rationale was, in essence, corrections is a constitutional function of government. We're stuck with it. Elections is about as fundamental of a constitutional function of government. I'm just making the suggestion that if you truly want to have it to be the state pay for it, then the request should simply be, instead of going this circuitous route that is going to end up with the council and local mandates saying, no, we're not going to change it for the same reason we didn't change on bail reform, is to instead, since the budget just got introduced today and there's 4 months to work on it, to ask that that be changed. That's what I'm trying to get at. And with all due respect to some of the other numbers, and I guess it's all in what numbers we look at and how we look at it, there were more actual vote by mails, forget about the provisionals, but just more vote by mails in 18 than there was total paper ballots between vote by mail and provisionals in 16, where you had a presidential election. So, I
You know
guess
all about that.
Well, I'm saying, Mr. Chair.
You want to tell me why?
Well,
Any
Mr. Formica, the thing is, I'm not looking to make that political argument, because it would also not be factual, because the other 21 municipalities, besides the two you're talking about, had a very dramatic increase as well in their use of paper.
Okay.
And that resulted in a very high increase in voting. So I'm just saying, perhaps looking at something of just asking about the budget change while you've got the time to do that, rather than something else that seems, with all respect, doomed to fail, would be another way to go.
Thank you for your comments. Just to be clear, we didn't introduce the budget. Budget was presented. We will introduce the budget
What's up with the state
at our
budget?
next meeting. And we are factoring in what we now know the cost to be from a budget perspective. Jerry, I think you mentioned we got to talk about that. And we've already paid the bill for the additional money that had to be paid. What we're doing is making a stance that, and just making a statement, at least this is why I presented it, it's unacceptable. And we're not going to just roll over and let it happen. Barring any other comments from the public, we'll go ahead and have a roll call vote.
Bennett?
No.
Bertino?
Yes.
Corsi?
Yes, but I ain't for the minute, the other two.
Days? Days?
Yes.
Fitzpatrick?
No.
Formica?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
And Gatto.
Yes. All right, that concludes the written portion of our agenda. Now we will go to any reports of special committees of the board. Anybody? Yes, Freeholder Patino.
Just one, last night we had our first meeting of the year for the Atlantic County Board of Agriculture. Atlantic County Board of Ag discussed some of the issues pending with agriculture here in Atlantic County. You're going to be receiving notification of the legislative dinner, which they've done the last few years. Format's going to be a little bit different this year because of some of the issues here facing agriculture, especially production agriculture in South Jersey, and the impacts of a possible minimum wage increase. Some of the other counties have asked to join us, so you're going to have Salem County there, you're going to have Cumberland County there, you're going to have Cape May County there, you're going to have Atlantic County there. All the farmers from those districts are going to be attending that meeting this year. I also have a letter from a constituent, a farmer that wrote a nice article in the Atlantic City Press a couple of weeks back, and I want to pass it out to everybody because it gives you a pretty good explanation of what the impact's going to be and how you would probably cripple production agriculture and farming in South Jersey. And that's going to be a major impact if you think the casino loss, that the impact we had with the casinos and the down change in the economy that really impacted all of us. The same thing could hold true for agriculture and competition and food pricing and everything else. I think it's just important to recognize and realize it. And as I said a little bit earlier, and I think some of you guys have come to the legislative dinners in the past, and we've talked about the difference between agriculture. There's production ag. Production agriculture will be farmers that house people. There's costs associated for housing. There's costs associated for meals that they all absorb. They don't recoup any of that. They're not allowed to in hiring their staff. So there's agriculture that's aquaculture. There's agriculture that houses no one. So the impacts are completely different across the board. And I think for us here in South Jersey, and you will find this to be the case with all the farmers, because it's coming down to them to understanding that the message to get out, and they're not fighting the increase at the $15 as a particular plateau. There was a discussion on legislation that was passed a few years ago that the CPI index is adjusted every year for the ag side, and then initially a bump in the beginning to get it up to certain levels. Discussions about that. That legislation was already passed. I think the legislation that the state's starting to consider now, if you're talking about a major bump and then within 2 or 3 years being at $15, you're going to find it not only impacting agriculture, you're going to have it impacting a lot of small businesses. I know a lot of the places you can go for hamburgers, you're going to see kiosks popping up all over the place. That is not going to go away. That's going to be a trend where automation, when you go in to order a lot of that material, is to eliminate the staff, because you can't survive and pay wages that you can't pass the cost on to the consumer, and farming is that way. It's market-based. It doesn't, you can't just take whatever it costs you today and add it to the cost of your product, because if you're buying produce, you're getting produce at the supermarket that's purchased from California, from Chile, from everywhere else. The market drives the cost of that back. So I think it's really important for us to understand, and they're going to try to re-emphasize that at the meetings. For those that do come out, it is an impact, and it's got to be looked at a little bit differently. As I said, for production agriculture carve-outs, I know Senator Sweeney's talked about some of that. Being from South Jersey, we've made the point to him very clear. I don't know how much resistance he's getting in Trenton and trying to get support to see those carve-outs occur. But I wanted to make sure you guys are aware of it, because it's going to be very key. Thank you.
Thank you, Freeholder. Any other reports? Yes, Freeholder.
Just briefly, Madam Chair. When you attend the South Jersey Economic Development District meetings, you hear about the successes and the challenges that all four counties have. And it's certainly an interesting mix of topics that you get into. One of the topics we got into the other night was the Salem nuclear plant, the winding down. One of the units is already closed, and was brought up to do a study, a preliminary study through Triad Associates, and we made sure that we included B.L. England in that preliminary study to give us the preliminary numbers of what the impact would be. Once we have that done, then we can apply to the U.S. Economic Development Agency to get funds to do a full-blown resiliency plan for the area. So I'm excited about that, and I'll keep you posted as that progresses. Thank you.
Any other reports? I did attend the Southern New Jersey Freeholder Association meeting last night. Lots of good discussion with regard to other economic development activities happening. Discussion around some ideas that have to do with the opioid crisis that we're all kind of facing right now. And a lot of discussion around education coming to Southern New Jersey from a college perspective. So a lot of really good discussion there. I'll share some of the ideas that were discussed in email so that we don't have to belabor it here. Okay, with that, do we have any unfinished business? Seeing none. Any new business? Seeing none. Any written communications and petitions? Seeing none. We'll open it up to public comment. Any members of the public wish to comment? Okay, seeing none, we will close public comments.
Madam Chair?
Yes. Freeholder Corsi.
Good of you.
Go to the order.
A couple of things. One, I want to acknowledge and recognize former Freeholder Carmen. It's good to see you. And the gentleman that's sitting next to him, I am told he was the gentleman who decorated the Meadowview Nursing Facility on Howard. And
Great job.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Two other things I have is most of you probably read in the newspaper, former Councilwoman Barbara Hutchins, who passed away.
Yes.
And we'd like to have a moment of silence for her and her memory of Councilwoman Hutchins.
We will do that now.
Thank you. Second thing is I don't want to steal her thunder, but I'll figure out start the process and she can finish it. Freeholder Bennett is heading up the Women's March on the 19th in Atlantic City, and that we would hope all of you who could be there to attend and be in support of would be greatly appreciated. I don't want to steal her thunder, but she can talk to you about it herself, but I think it's important.
Yeah.
I won't be
You're stealing it, but that's okay.
Somebody had to lead in. As I've indicated to Freeholder Bennett, I will not be there. Unfortunately, we have family funeral services, and so therefore I will not be attended, but in full support.
Sorry to hear of your
And with that,
Any other good of the order? Freeholder Bennett, you want to take it from there?
Yeah, since I got the nice lead in that I didn't know that I got, but thank you. So the Women's March in Atlantic City is doing something completely different than any other march in the country, in that we're honoring the legacy of civil rights activist Fannie Lou Hamer. For those who didn't know, she brought the Freedom Delegation to the 1964 Democratic National Convention to unseat the delegates that were in favor of Jim Crow. Unfortunately, they were not successful, but we're honoring that legacy and that history that we have here in Atlantic County. We have a rich and beautiful history that needs to be acknowledged, and so we're putting that on the forefront, on the stage for everyone to see. We actually reached out to the Fannie Lou Hamer Museum in Mississippi, and as a result of that conversation, the award-winning actress reactor from the museum, who goes around the world performing her speeches in her voice, is coming to the Women's March to do the speech from the 1964 convention. And we're going to be rallying in the same building from which this all happened. And it's a beautiful nonpartisan event. So we're asking everybody to come out and just be embracing of the history that we have here in Atlantic County. And I just want to say thank you to Freeholder Formica when we reached out to him and asked for help and assistance, and he was more than excited to help us and said, "Can I march too?" And we said, "Absolutely." So we expect to see it.
Thank you.
Worthy Chairman, Chairwoman, excuse me. Recently, within the past 2 weeks, I'm Bob Reynolds from Atlantic County Facilities Management. We lost a fellow employee of mine after a lengthy illness. His name is Darrell Savage. He manned the office space down on the warehouse floor at 1227 Drexel Avenue in Atlantic City. But I just wanted to mention that because he was a very gentle and humble and friendly man. And I just would like to say that everyone at facilities misses him.
Thank you for that, sir. How
Thank
about we
you.
give him a moment of silence as well?
That would be great.
Thank you for bringing that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, any other good of the order from the Freeholder Board?
I just want to thank Atlantic County Public Works. What a great job they did on clearing the roads, like right away. We got a lot of accolades on that, and it really looks good.
Actually, I'll second the motion. I actually stopped in to the yard and congratulated the village for actually outstanding, which leads us to, we've got to be very careful this week when they tell about a nasty storm.
I have a lot of disappointing
Just one quick note from me. I do believe today is Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday.
Yes.
And we will be celebrating his life and legacy at many events in the county through the weekend, starting with Atlantic County's celebration on Friday, honoring the Spirit Award winner Shalonda Austin and keynote speaker Reverend Latasha Milton. So if you have the opportunity to catch that or any of the other celebrations going on throughout the county, or on Monday, you know, it's supposed to be a day on, not a day off, for a day of service. So please think about going out and giving back to the community in Dr. Martin Luther King's honor on Monday. With that,
Are you taking off Monday?
I am off on Monday.
I expect to see you in Atlantic City in March. But you always tell me you work, and I don't want you to
The
work.
March is on Saturday.
No.
Oh, different March, okay. I don't know what March you're talking about, but okay.
We're talking about the annual Martin Luther King March in Atlantic City.
Okay.
From MLK to the Civil Rights Garden, and from the Civil Rights Garden to St. James AME Church. It's every year.
Great.
Since you're taking off that day, you know the
I do work very hard, Freeholder, thank you. All right, anything else? I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We have a motion, a second. All those in favor? Any opposed? Have a good night.